Small team of Airports Authority of India, air traffic controllers in particular. So, a system helps improving the efficiency of an airport. The concept was initiated in Europe at Munich airport by air traffic controllers when they saw a big queue at holding point, and the aircraft who were last in the queue, they were burning fuel, spoiling the environment, and many problems were there because of that long queue, which I will explain in a later slide. So they took about 7 years for the first project to develop at Munich airport. Subsequently, they went ahead and deployed this system at many other European airports. Then IK also took it up and told that other airports should also have it. So around 2013, a small team in Airports Authority of India started working on developing this concept in-house. We took about 3 years to develop the complete software for this system for Mumbai Airport. It was deployed at Mumbai Airport in December 2015. It is working beautifully since then and saving a lot of fuel. I'll give you the figures in later slides. Subsequently, we took it up for Chennai, Kolkata, which were deployed in 2018. Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Guwahati, Trivandrum, these 4 airports were taken up by AI on Ministry of Civil Aviation's request, and we completed them in 2019 and 20. As of now, we are working on Hyderabad project, which is about 80% complete. It will take another 2 to 3 months to fully make it operational. So this is the scenario of ACDM solutions provided to airports in India by Airports Authority. As you can see, this collaborative diagram where the primary stakeholders are shown, in which air traffic controllers, airline operators, and airport operators play a significant role. Of course, the ground handlers who work on behalf of airline operators, and ANS systems like CATFM, and now, of course, they are going for multi-node CATFM, means inter-country data exchange among the ATFM systems. So those ANS systems also exchange data with ACDM systems. So every stakeholder has got some role to play in the system. They provide some data, they take some benefit out of the system, which I will explain in the later slide. So why someone implements ACDM? As I mentioned that ICAO has mandated that it is an important tool for performance improvement. Then ICAO's Asia Pacific Seamless ANS plan also mentions that we should have ACDM at airports. Then the state or the regulator encourages ACDM implementation. In India, Ministry of Civil Aviation has got ACDM implementation for all the airports in its civil aviation policy. And time and again, we get requests from Ministry of Civil Aviation to take up some airports. As I mentioned, we have taken 4 airports on their insistence. Then, most importantly, the airports see that other airports are getting benefited by implementing ACDM. So, that is the biggest point which encourages an airport to take up ACDM for their airport. Now, what are the benefits? The primary benefit is significant reduction at congestion at holding point. One of my previous speaker has shown one slide where 3 or 4 aircraft were there only in the queue. But in fact, this is the real picture before ACDM implementation, where we were having about 12 to 15 aircraft in the queue. Here you can see only 12, but there are some aircraft on the side taxiways. So in total, there may be 15 aircraft. The aircraft number 10 in the queue will be burning fuel for about 30 minutes before taking its turn for departure. Not only burning fuel, spoiling environment, and the wear and tear will also be there for the aircraft, which will, bring in more or the early requirement for the MRO activities for that particular aircraft. So after ACDM implementation at Mumbai, this scene is completely gone. This has come down to 2 or 3 aircraft at holding point at any given point in time. So what we have achieved by this, we have done a study in 2018-19 for Mumbai Airport, where we have saved fuel to the tune of 9,200 tons in that year, which results, or if we calculate the carbon emissions, that comes to the tune of 29,000 tons. The taxi time saved was about 838,000 minutes. So that saving of taxi time is a direct benefit to increase to the aircraft life. The aircraft's life increases in that proportion. Now, how we achieve this? This is a random screen captured at Mumbai Airport, where runway news 27, only 2 aircraft. To the extreme right, you can see 2 green aircraft at holding point for runway 27. The third aircraft, 6C375, is taxiing. One arrival is in the middle of runway, just landed. One departure has just taken off before this. So due to our pre-departure sequencing, which is inbuilt in our ACDM software, that controls the complete sequencing, provides a T-set time. Because of that T-set time, the condition at holding point has come down to this. 2 aircraft at holding point, third is taxiing, and some 4th, 5th are just starting the pushback, etc. So this is how we have achieved this kind of savings in fuel and environment. Now, what are the roles and benefits? So, as I mentioned, there are 3 important stakeholders. One of them is airport operator. So, airport operator has got some responsibility. One is provide infrastructure for deploying the system. The other is provide desired data. The system needs a lot of data from multiple sources. So, in particular, the AODB data, which is of importance to ACDM system, that comes from airport operator. Then, post ACDM implementation, we have to monitor the performance of the system. If there is some improvement required in certain areas, that has to be done by monitoring the performance. Then, what are the benefits an airport operator gets? As I mentioned, reduce the carbon emissions at that airport, enhance orderly and efficient flow, because the sequencing is done by the system and not manually. Increase safety. As you have seen, the chaos has gone. Like 10 to 12 aircraft are not taxiing now on the tarmac. Very limited aircraft are taxiing, so less number of aircraft moving on the maneuvering area, the less chance of a conflict on ground. So the safety is increased, better resource utilization, because the transparency improves a lot. Every stakeholder is aware of other stakeholders' activities. What are they doing? What are they planning? So every information is made available to other stakeholders, and because of this transparency, the resource utilization improves. Reduced coordination, because a lot of information is already made available to you through ACDM platform. Improved discipline at that airport. How this improves, I'll take up in further slides. Data for multiple other uses. Now you have many kinds of data available due to ACDM system, which you can use for your MIS activities. The next important stakeholder is the aircraft operator operating at that airport. Now, what are their roles and responsibilities towards the system? They are supposed to provide TOBT. TOBT is the target off block time. Those who are from aviation industry or working at the airport, they might be aware that aircraft are filing flight plan in which they are mentioning EOBT, that is estimated off block time. But this is TOBT, which is target off block time, a time at which the aircraft is supposed to be ready for pushback and startup by completing all the formalities. EOBT is the time filed in the flight plan, which is a time that can be planned up to 5 days in advance. So there is a chance of variation in EOBT. The aircraft may not be ready at EOBT. So TOBT is the time which is decided maybe about half an hour back or maybe an hour back. So the airline or the aircraft operator's responsibility is to provide TOBT and comply with the TOBT. Once they are committed to a time that we will be ready by this time, the system expects that yes, they will be ready by this time, because system has to take certain decisions based on this time. Now, what are the benefits the aircraft operators get? Fuel saving. I have mentioned that. What kind of fuel saving? This is a direct benefit. They are saving a lot of fuel, which results in saving of money. Improved aircraft life. Of course, the taxi time is reduced. Savings on, which results in savings on MRO activities. Improved data quality with the CATFM integration. All our ACDM systems are integrated with the ATFM system, the central ATFM system at Delhi, which provides certain information to the ACDM system, which is shown to the stakeholders or the end user through our interfaces. Right now, our CATFM system of India is not integrated with other countries' ATFM system. Once that takes place, the end-to-end connectivity will be ensured. ACDM system works at the level of airport. ATFM system works at airspace level. I mean, it controls the arrival flow at an airport. So, if ATFM system of one country talks to the ATFM system of other country, the information emanating from an airport goes through these ATFM systems to the destination airport, or vice versa. It comes from the other departure airport to this destination airport. So this information will be made available through ACDM system to aircraft operator, which can benefit significantly and use the. I'll be happy to answer all the questions. Pardon? Sir, all Mumbai and whatever I shown, all the systems are integrated. Yes, yes, CATFM. Sir, can we take the can we take the questions after the, because so many questions might be answered during the course of presentation. So we'll take the questions after the presentation, sir, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. Now, enhanced predictability, because all the stakeholders are connected with this system and they are exchanging information. So there is a better predictability which improves the resource utilization, improve transparency. Then what are the roles and benefits to the third important stakeholder, ANSP, Air Navigation Service Provider, that is air traffic controller. Provide desired data. Of course, certain systems which are being used by ANSP to provide air traffic control services, they have to provide certain data which are mandatory or required for functioning of ACDM system. Then connectivity with CATFM, because the CATFM system is maintained and managed by Airports Authority of India in case of Indian scenario. Then reaching the bay during the arrival phase. So now target of block time, I explained a bit about it, which is it is the estimation of aircraft ready, which is the aircraft operator's commitment to the ACDM process. I mentioned that airline or the aircraft operator is supposed to give TOBT to ACDM system and commit, comply to it. Whatever TOBT they have given to the system, they should adhere to it. Or if they are not able to adhere to it, they can revise the TOBT. Give the realistic time to the system. Now, why airline operator is supposed to give TOBT? Because only airline operator is aware of the activities which are may change TOBT, like refueling, unloading, loading, your passenger handling, your dispatch requirements, the technical problems your aircraft may be facing, the ground handling requirements, or the cockpit readiness. So, these factors affect TOBT, and these factors are only known to airline. They are internal to airline. So, we don't keep a track of all these issues because the airline is the best judge of the timing which these activities will take, and the TOBT is the final outcome which we expect from the aircraft operator. Now, the aircraft wants to go at TOBT, but that is not the only aircraft at that airport who is asking for a startup. In a busy scenario, there may be like 15 or 20 aircraft who are asking for departure at almost same time, or maybe in a span of maybe 2-3 minutes. So, depending on the system's handling capacity and the constraints prevailing at that airport at that particular time, a target startup approval time, T-set time, is calculated by the system, which is the system's commitment that you will get a startup at so and so time. Like, suppose your aircraft wants to go at 10 o'clock, but due to the other constraints of that airport, the T-set may go beyond 10, like maybe 10, depending on the demand of the departures at that particular moment. So the T-set may vary depending on the demand. So like 10, or 10, depending on the scenario. But T-set, as I mentioned, depends on the constraints at the airport. The handling capacity also varies. Though we have at many airports, busy airports, we have declared that this will be the handling capacity, but that also varies due to so many issues. Like the weather may be bad at that airport, some taxiways or some runway may be closed. The prevailing traffic mix, like there may be a lot of arrivals asking for landing in that period. So the prevailing operational capacity, then we take into consideration variable taxi time also. Like a particular aircraft may be parked at a distance. Then, though he may have filed time earlier, like 10 o'clock, or an aircraft which is parked near to holding point, he has filed like 10:05, but because the taxi time is short, so the aircraft which is parked near will be given. It's a complex logic which goes behind. So sometimes the aircraft which is having a TOBT later from some aircraft which is parked at a distance may get an early startup. So ACDM backend algorithm calculates T-set based on the operational capacity, TOBT. I have written POBT also, that is preliminary off block time. What happened when we deployed this system at Mumbai? Some of the airline operators they started playing with the system in the manner Like they were not updating TOBT as desired. Suppose the aircraft has landed at 10 o'clock and they have filed 10:20 as the EOBT for its departure leg. But everybody knows that 20 minutes is not sufficient for the aircraft to, do all the turnaround activities. But they are not updating TOBT. Now, system was not aware whether this TOBT, they are ready or not. So we linked arrival time and added minimum turnaround time with this, taken into consideration that for sequencing, and we named that as preliminary off-block time, that is POBT. So wherever POBT is available and it is more than TOBT, then we take POBT into consideration for generating T-set. So now the system is working beautifully. That issue is taken care of at Mumbai. So this is about T-set. Now, there are certain features which I would like to explain here, which are developed by Airports Authority. The systems are highly automated. The generation of T-set is completely automatic. Why I have mentioned this is because I am aware that certain ACDM systems deployed elsewhere have manual input on this. I mean, they are wasting so many manpower who are, entering certain parameters which is giving them T-set. So our system is completely automatic. There is no manual intervention required for generating T-set. Then pre-departure sequencing. There are so many vendors out there who are selling their pre-departure sequencer as a separate product, but our system has got pre-departure sequencer inbuilt in the system. Then there is automatic detection of change of runway. We get certain information from the automation system or the radar system through which we find out what is the runway in use, or if there is any change in runway, we automatically capture that information and change the runway in our system. The new variable taxi time are calculated based on the change of runway. The handling capacity of that runway is also comes into play. Then dynamic capacity balancing based on real-time traffic on ground and real-time traffic in air. We keep a track of the dynamics of, suppose there is an urgent need of runway, runway inspection. So it takes about 8 to 10 minutes sometimes. So about 3 departures will not be able to go during that period. Now our system keeps a track that how many departures were not able to go. Then accordingly the T-sets are dynamically changed. Similarly, if the arrival pressure is more on the system, we also give little priority on the aircraft which is in air. So accordingly the T-sets are dynamically adjusted. Now for doing all these things, we take data from AODB system, from the AFTN, from automation system, that is our radar system, surveillance system. CATFM also gives us some information. Then we involve all the stakeholders from the planning stage. Information sharing is done through application interface, which I'll show you in subsequent slides, through web interface, through display boards at parking stands. Now, probably that was the reason we figure at number 2 position in CANSO's survey, which was done by them in 2016. They studied all the ACDM systems available at that point in time and found out that these 9 airports ACDM system can be referenced by other airports where they are going to deploy ACDM. So that was a big achievement by us, where we stand after Paris. Apart from this, we have done so many activities for ICAO's Asia Pacific region in the field of ACDM system. We have played lead role in developing the ACDM implementation plan for Asia Pacific region because there was a need to harmonize the ACDM activities across airports because the activities should be similar everywhere. So India has played a lead role. India means airport, represented by Airports Authority of India. I happen to be one in that team. Then ACDM monitoring framework for Asia Pacific region, we have played a lead role in there. Then ATFM ACDM integration module for ICAO, the regional ATFM framework is under development, almost finished. We have played the support role there. Now these are the interfaces which I was talking about, how we show the information to the stakeholders. This is the application interface for AOCC. AOCC, everybody must be aware. This is the Airport Operations Control Center. So this is the interface which is provided to the stakeholders sitting in AOCC, precisely the airport operator and the representative from airlines. This is a typical picture of Mumbai AOCC where a user is using our interface. Then there is another interface for air traffic controllers which is deployed in control tower. This is slightly different, having less information. The information relevant to that stakeholder is only provided to them. Then there is a web interface. Then I was talking about the display boards put on the air side. So Mumbai, they have put this kind of display boards, slightly small, but about 120 in total they have put up. So they show the TOBT, TSAT, and the call sign in 5 seconds cycle. Then this is the display board for Kolkata Airport, which is slightly bigger. At the same time, we can show some 4 or 5 information in there. So these are all weathered airport airside display boards, which which are helpful for the crew to see the information which is displayed right in front of them. So this is the stakeholders interface. It will take a long time to explain this, but it looks like this. I was mentioning about the color coding. So here you can see. The airline operator will also know that yes, they are going to start up once they are green. So green is the zone which is a window which is TSET plus minus 5 minutes. So within plus minus 5 minutes period, they can request startup and they will get startup also. If they fail to do so, the color will turn into red. It means what they committed, they have not complied with, and they are supposed to file a new TOBT after that, and a new TSET will be given to them. And many other, that right column shows the arrival information, all the arrivals, then the arrivals on final, the landing. So the resource utilization can be done in a much better way by seeing the actual information, what time their aircraft is likely to land. Then we show some alerts, and there are so many features in this. This is the tower interface. Like here you can see the red color. So Victor Delta Mike will not get a startup. They are supposed to file new TOBT and a new TSET will be given to them. Now, during this journey, we have faced some challenges and how we handled them. Number one, convincing the stakeholders to accept the system and its rules. There is inertia in the system. There is, always resistance to changes. So when we deployed this system at Mumbai, they were used to working in certain way. Now, once you ask them to change the way of working, and so many new terminology are also associated with ACDM. So it took a lot of time for us to convince them that what are the rules of the system and how they can follow it. It took almost 1.5 years. We used to hold monthly meetings or sometimes, twice in a month. We used to discuss a lot. The system also improved a lot because we did the entire software designing, and software was written by us. By the way, it has about 3 lakh lines of code behind it. Then understanding the ACDM vis-a-vis surface CDM. Actually, surface CDM is a concept where the activities which are affecting TOBT are only considered. So the surface CDM stops at calculating TOBT. So, the airport operator should be very clear on this, because I know one scenario where some vendor fooled the airport operator, sold the system by saying that this is ACDM, but that was actually surface CDM, which was calculating time only up to TOBT. The ACDM actually starts after TOBT. TOBT is just one input in the system. Then, because we provide the information through an interface, which is like an extra screen for tower controllers. So initially, tower controllers were, apprehensive that it will increase the workload, but when they came to know that it is easing out a lot of activities for them, so they were in fact happy about it. Additional manpower requirement from airlines. When we initially deployed the system at Mumbai, there was a big hue and cry that we have to deploy manpower, additional manpower. But as I mentioned, the existing manpower which is deployed in AOCC was, and there was no requirement of additional manpower on account of ACDM, because AOCC requires airline representation there. Then sensitizing airlines management on OTP issues. Once the delay is consumed at the parking stand, this is actually a big issue. The delay is consumed at parking stand, and the calculation of OTP defined by IATA long back, when ACDM type of systems were not present, or they were not there. So they made a definition of OTP like the aircraft should leave the parking stand within certain time frame, 15 minutes. But TSET, TSET is a time given to the aircraft that at this time you leave the parking stand. Now, this was a big issue initially, but later on we found out that many issues were there because of the wrong slotting system adopted there. So they did some improvement in their slots. The OTP issue also gone away, and we discussed with their airlines higher management that the material benefit which is coming out of ACDM is way beyond your OTP issue. Then extensive training is needed for operations because it's a new way of working. Then there is a big question when to ask for a startup at TOBT or TSET at many airports, but this has been taken care of by us in ACDM implementation plan, where we have mentioned that it is TSET. The aircraft is supposed to be ready by TOBT, but they will get a startup at TSET. Now, the airports worldwide adopted two kind of systems. One is dynamic TSET, one is static TSET. Dynamic TSET is hard to program, but the vacant slot, suppose some slot is available because some aircraft has changed TOBT or not able to go because of certain reasons, then the vacant slot is filled by the demand. The aircraft which are ready to go at that time are given those slots. So dynamic TSET generation helps in better slot utilization. The static TSET system means you give 1000, 1002, 1004 or 5, whatever the handling capacity. But in that system, suppose the slot given at 1004 was vacant, then if there is no system of dynamically reallocating the slot, then that slot will be wasted. So we have adopted dynamic allocation of slots and dynamic TSET. So that is why the TSET is the time at which you will get startup, but TSET may go towards your TOBT. It will reach TOBT if the slot is available. So you should be ready at TOBT. So this is how the startup will be given. How will the TSET be conveyed to cockpit? Essentially, the representative of airline who is sitting in AOCC is responsible for conveying the TSET to the other persons in his organization. But as I mentioned, that some airports have put up the display boards on the air side through which the information can be received by the air crew directly. So that's all from me. Thank you so much for the patient listening. The floor is open for questions. Any number of questions, please. Is there any mic? Mic है sir, एक minute.
How does it affect the approved flight plan? Suppose you calculate a different time of your departure. How does it affect? Your flight plan is already approved, and the aircraft starts running at a different time. How does it affect? Does it affect that or not?
Sir, there are multiple players asking for a startup during a certain period of time. Like within 5 minutes, if 20 aircraft are asking a startup, the flight plans may be filed in a staggered way as per the approved flight plan timing. But the real scenario or the practical scenario prevailing at that day or at that point in time varies. The aircraft may bunch up within 5 minutes. I mean, we have practically seen this. Within 5 minutes, 15 aircraft may be asking for a startup. So the flight plan timing is not strictly adhered because there is a margin also in there, minus 15 minutes to plus 45 minutes given for ADC purposes, air defense clearance purposes. And the flight plan also expires after, it varies, like somewhere it expires after 1 hour or something like that. So the aircraft can ask for a startup on a different time than the filed one, maybe within a certain time frame. So I think I have answered your question. I mean, it's not that the aircraft will always stick to the time. It varies. And the bunching happens because the other aircraft are also there with the other previous lot. Sir, your question, please, sir. Two, three, two, one. Are you able to hear me? Yes, please, sir.
So my question is, one, you have already answered that CDM is already integrated with ATFS. That is okay. And secondly, why don't we have same system at all the airports? This is one. Secondly, about the TOBT. TOBT is the airline time. So if I see that the definition says that if I see that I can give my aircraft to my pilot with all passengers on board, with door closed and tug connected, if it is a pushback wing. That is the time I'm supposed to send it to AOCC.
ACDM,
so,
yes.
Yes. So can I prepone that time and postpone also? So suppose my departure is 0700. If I see that today I have just 10 passengers or 15 passengers, and I can give my aircraft to the pilot at 6:45. Can I do that?
I'll explain the second question first. You can prepone, postpone, whatever you want, subject to the decision taken by the steering committee formed at that airport for ACDM system. Every airport is supposed to form a steering committee by taking representation from all the stakeholders, and they decide the rule for that airport. like Mumbai, we were approving preponement, but we found out that some airlines were, taking undue advantage out of that. So in one of the stakeholders meeting, we decided, everybody discussed it thoroughly and decided that preponement should be done away with. So in the system or in the software, we did the necessary changes and preponement was stopped at Mumbai airport. But at some other airport, if the steering committee or the stakeholders team decides that it should be allowed, it can be allowed. I mean, the idea is to bring in discipline in the system. Nobody should take undue advantage of the system.
So, sir, just for discussion purpose, the discipline will, as it has come. So, suppose my departure is 070, and I plan, I give a TOBT of 6:45. But I am bound by your TSAT. I am not going to get startup, or I am not going to ask for startup till my TSAT. So that TSAT is in your hands. So discipline तो कोई बात ही नहीं है उसमें. So but as per IQ, so 1 minute. As per IQ, I can prepone it for 10 minutes. It says, I have a IQ book. In that it says 10 minutes you can prepone. So why is it so that a different airport will have different understanding or different rules?
Sir, at Mumbai, the scenario was, very chaotic and, highly busy scenario. So during discussion, it came out that by preponing, they are eating into the slots of the aircraft, which is, sticking to the slot. So those who are disciplined.
May I? Sir, no, I am not going to eat into anyone's slot because I am still bound by your TSAT. If I put it, मैं आधा घंटा पहले बढ़ा देता हूँ, 6:30 कर देता हूँ. But आपने TSAT 7:10 का ही दिया, तो मैं startup तो 7:10 पे ही मांगूंगा ना. So discipline wise, there is
I got your point.
Any problem.
I got your point. Now to counter that issue, what we did that we are taking into consideration the arriving leg of the flight, adding a minimum turnaround time for that. If that is falling below or within the time frame what you are mentioning, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes prior to that, that can be taken for generating TSAT at that airport. But at Mumbai, we have decided that because after so many meetings, we found out that it is creating problem for other aircraft.
Okay. Second question is.
Yeah, your first question was, why all the airports are not going for the similar system. See, this system takes globally about 2.5 years to deploy. Lot of hardware is required, lot of networking is required, lot of involvement at that airport, lot of involvement of persons at that airport, and training goes into play before we deploy this. Of course, we have deployed it at 7 airports, so we are able to do it within 1 year's time. But it is a commercial activity essentially. Now, somebody has to pay for that. So, worldwide, this is the practice that airport operator is going ahead with deployment of this. And because it's a commercial activity, a lot of vendors are there.
So, what about BIAL? BIAL is going for your software or something else?
Sir, that BIAL has to take a call.
So, BIAL people.
We have given them an offer. Please.
Okay. You have a go ahead from him. Okay.
Thank you. There is a positive outcome from this seminar. Thank you.
Okay. One more request. So normally airlines are conducting single engine taxi. So in single engine taxi we save a lot of things. So we don't get the sequence, and in the bargain, sometimes the pilot goes on to the holding point and he is not ready. So can we have some system integrated in this so that we can get a live sequence?
No, I got an issue. The issue is you were adopting the single engine taxi because you were expecting a lot of delayed holding points. Now there won't be significant delayed holding points. So you can do away with single engine.
I will not agree on this. Still at Mumbai, we do a lot of single engine taxi and we save a lot of fuel. My pilots are there, they can vouch for it.
Okay. No, as you just said that if your pilot or the aircraft is not ready at holding point, what the aircraft who are taxiing behind you, what they will do?
See, the pilot is not aware of the sequence. He is not aware. He can see that okay, मेरे आगे दो aircraft हैं, but he is not aware how many aircraft are going to land, or maybe from the other end they are going to take off. Other end means from the other taxiway. So that is why if something can be looked into in this system, that is my request. So just food for thought. If you can look into this.
Okay,
हम आगे बात करेंगे इसके ऊपर. So
fine, sir. It requires a lot of discussion.
And secondly, except for Mumbai and Calcutta, no airport is having a display of TSAT.
Yeah, on air side, yes.
So can you also push this along with your system?
We are actually doing it. Hyderabad has agreed to our request that please invest a little on this aspect also. So they are considering this. So in Hyderabad also you will have airside display.
Okay. Thank you very much. And one more last question, as we have some people from DGCA also. The OTP should not be related to the flights which are under CDM and under ATM.
Sir, as I have understood this issue of OTP, because I have discussed this a lot with so many agencies, I think IATA is the originator of this concept. This is going since very long, prior to even this concept of ACDM and ATFM was in place. So I have asked the top persons in IATA, please relook into the concept of OTP, where the ACDM is in place. Please have a different way of calculating them. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for that.
I have one question.
Please, sir.
You told that TSAT is calculated based on the airport infrastructure.
Handling capacity prevailing at that time.
And taxiing out time.
Variable taxi time.
Variable taxi time.
Yes.
Will it be considered, the pushback restrictions also will be considered in calculating TSAT?
Every parking stand has got either it's a, taxi in, taxi out, or, the pushback bay. It's already predefined. So we develop the database for each parking stand. What kind of parking stand it is. If it requires pushback, the time for pushback is also considered in variable taxi time.
No, I'm talking about like Bangalore. If you take the example of Bangalore, the adjacent two stands, if you are giving TSAT,
we don't we don't take that fine adjustment, because the TSAT is not a fixed time. It's a window. The green window, as I mentioned, plus minus 5 minutes. So there the controller on channel can take a call, which one to be given.
So you have a leverage of 5 minutes, plus or minus 5 minutes.
In fact, 10 minutes, plus minus 5. It's a 10 minutes window.
So the pushback restrictions will not matter in this.
Yes. And in any case, there are 2 or 3 aircraft, that flexibility is there at holding point. So, that fine decision is left to the controller on channel.
Okay. Thank you.
Had it been a fixed time, we would have done that. Yes, you will get at 1003. Then we can do that kind of.
No, ACDM has any role in the bay allotment also?
No, it's airport operators' prerogative. They give us the bay information through their AODB system, and we consider that for calculating VTT, etc.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have taken a lot of time. There are
I have a
other
last
speakers
question.
also.
Can I have a last question? Yeah.
As many questions, but
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
So as Captain Naliji was mentioning regarding the challenges faced by cockpit crew for saving fuel, I just have a request that in all metros, can we look at giving expected airborne time at all international airport too? So expected airborne time, what time we will get airborne. So it is going to help the pilot community to decide our better fuel efficiency when we start our second engine.
Actually,
especially for metros, if you can all think on that line.
Yes, there is a term called TTOT, Target Takeoff Time. So that time we show through ACDM, it's there in the system.
So if we can start past I will just take one example of international airport. Suppose Dubai, they gives us, you are getting airborne at 0600. So now it's my duty, I am getting airborne at that time. So I will plan everything backwards.
Yes.
So it's been international practice. If you can look on that, it will be very helpful for all the airline community. This is for the metros, and for the non-metros, for all the other controllers who are here, I have a small request. Whenever there are pushback happening, if we can give them little bit heads up about if there is any landing traffic, and give them a heads up that you will only get airborne after so time. So which will make us know, okay, we will delay our startup, because this is a real challenge in all the non-metros, where we don't know, we start our engine and 10-15 minutes we are just burning, letting somebody land, and then we backtrack. So please, our request that if you can throw some light on that, it will be really helpful for all the pilot community, and especially for airline to save a little bit fuel there. Thank you.
So thank you all for making this session so lively, even though the lunch was just before this. Thank you all. And whatever questions you have, please contact us anytime. Okay, I have not given my email, but you can ask any air traffic controller at your airport. You will get my number and email. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable information. Hopefully, we'll be having ACDM in Bangalore soon. So, I would request MS Prasad, sir, join ATM. Please come on stage and present the memento to sir. Please, sir. Now we are heading towards a very interesting session of today. It is the controller-pilot interaction session, which will be moderated by Mr. Sudhir Menon, ATM. So I would request sir to please come on stage and gather. So please give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. The first time I got applause for doing nothing, absolutely. Before I start this session for pilot ATCO community interaction, I was a bit disappointed that Professor Padi, I could not ask a few questions, but Professor Padi and team. So I am taking the liberty with permission of the ATC Guild here to just give a suggestion that, I'm not an expert in your field, but at the end of your presentation, I felt that there is one input that I would like to give. That is regarding dynamic sectorization. So you have gone with sectors which are defined and do not change with the traffic. But I think world over they are trying to move towards something like rather the flow following the structure. From there you're moving to structure following the flow. So the TMAs keep changing based on the traffic. So you define the sectors. So just a minor input if you could work on that. And I would like to congratulate and appreciate you and your team for foraying into this field where by putting India on the aviation map. Thank you for that. And there was also, in part of your presentation, a smiley face, inverted smiley face, which said India is not taking many initiatives. So I felt that, the presentation that we just had is one of the best initiatives that we have taken, effort collaborative decision making, and got the ACDM into place at Mumbai with a very huge budget of 50,000 rupees. So from there to come to this stage where, we have the team from BL and all expressing or evincing their interest in this. So it definitely is a milestone for Aviation India. Congrats to all of you. And so we come to the agenda at hand. So we are lucky to have a few of our flying friends, the pilot community here, from various airlines. We have from all the major domestic airlines, international airlines present here. And I think you are outnumbered by the number of ATCOs, but that should not, deter you from answering openly and frankly. And more than answering it, I think it's going to be an interactive session. What we look forward to is clearing our doubts, because we all know each other only by our voices. And sometimes it's like a WhatsApp communication. You don't know how the person feels when he types something to you. But when we have a face-to-face interaction, I believe we can sort out the issues much better. So let's hope for a very valuable and wholesome interaction between us. And please do not think that this will be restricted, because most of them are based at Bangalore. So please do not think that most of the interaction will be limited to Bangalore issues. Let us expand this, because I know this is a team which has assembled here from all over the country. So let us have questions from each airport if you like so. And it could be general operational matters as well. And the questions would be, and the interaction should be both ways. That's most important. So you are also totally free to ask us your clarifications, your suggestions, like the one Captain just gave right now regarding giving us a heads up about the startup and the arrivals. So as they said, let the games begin. So let's have, I would request Sanjay and the team to have a few more people, the housekeeping staff, to float the mics around, because we have a large ballroom here. And if some people in the back, right at the back could come front in case they are interested in asking questions, it would be helpful for the housekeeping staff also. So let's have an interactive session. I'll be taking my place here and interfering only when I feel necessary. So please.
Can I ask the first question? Yeah, this is Captain Sanjay here from Indigo. First of all, I would like to thank each one of you from all stations to come to Bangalore, and you have been doing a fabulous job, despite all the infrastructure challenges. With me is Captain Babo. We are both active flyers here, and Captain Sana is from AirAsia, and we have Kumar with us from AirAsia. So my one question I wanted to ask, for all the metro airports, especially relevant to Bangalore, we have seen recently that a lot of landing delays are happening. And why are we not asking pilots to increase speed? That is one Bangalore controller, maybe he can help us out. Why are we not asking any specific? We have seen all international community, they ask pilot maybe speed 300 knots or more, something like that. Why are we giving free speed to pilots? Let them fly whatever they are, and that is compounding to a lot of backlog in landing. Anybody can answer this? Or if there is any other restriction from the what we don't know, like we see we fly 270, 280, but nothing restricts us from flying 300 knots if there is no delay. And slowly that it adds up to the aircraft landing behind me. So just a thought, please.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Sivaram Prasad, Joint Air Traffic Management in Bangalore, as well as Watch Supervisor Officer. Whenever there is no delay for any arrival, we don't give any speed restriction. Even our controllers are telling cancel level and speed restrictions also whenever there is no delay. If delay is there, you have to follow what are the restrictions of the stop. Even when we give also no delay for the arrival also, by 20 miles to touchdown, the speed shall be around 180 knots. Otherwise, aircraft high speed will be there, then it will lead to unstabilized approaches. Otherwise, there is no delay. So no restriction will be there if no delay.
So, sir, what I want to request you, so suppose we are flying in UAE airspace where we pass through 4 or 5 controls, and we are 300 miles away. We know they are asking us to maintain 300 knots or decimal 78. Until the time they don't advise us further, we just maintain that speed. Why can't we do something like this with us when we are in Chennai control flying to Bangalore? Let us start planning from there. Not once we are descending and we are 60 miles and now I know I am number 10. If you have to slow down well before, so that at least it's a thought. Please look into this. That's it. I don't want to, I know you guys are doing it, but that is what I felt that there are two ways. Either we start slowing it too early, let them know that there is a challenge there. We have a lot of, so start planning in that way. So we start flying our economic speed so that we save fuel not by coming down. We start slowing down from there.
Usually, a significant delay is there. We give the touchdown time also to Chennai other units. I hope you people are getting
No,
the
no,
touchdown
sir,
time
that is not the ground reality. We never get that. We never get that. We fly all the way. We come to Bangalore only when we start assuming it when level restrictions start happening. That is the only time we figure out on ourselves. We don't know. Nobody passes any information.
Usually, significant delay means around 10 minutes on arrival. Your landing time, whenever whatever you have calculated or whatever our system is giving 10 minutes plus 10 minutes. Otherwise, aircraft are coming from all around. While sequencing itself, we'll give the touchdown time. Once we calculate the touchdown time, we are passing to the next ATC units, which are releasing inbound to the arrival.
I agree, sir. But what is happening? That message is not been conveyed to us. We have no idea. We have no idea what is Bangalore doing till the time we change over to Bangalore.
Okay. 1 minute.
Shriram, I think this is why they call me the moderator. So I request Sanjay, if you could put in a fresh input on this.
Actually, in area control, we do that, increase the speed when it is required, and simultaneously we ask if it is practicable to get that inter-arrival spacing or to segregate the aircraft. We ask that aircraft to increase speed, but we don't do it in approach control because of constraints, you know that. But we do that, increase the speed in area control. And we also ask the specific speeds in the area control.
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to give you a small view on that. Actually, we had a discussion with some FAA experts when we had regular interaction at CHQ. We were told that they were able to do this because they monitor the aircraft 1,500 miles away and give all the restrictions at that point to all the airports which are interconnected. So any aircraft which is going to take off 1,000 miles before the destination, they are already aware of the landing time because the whole system is connected that way. So we are also trying to get such a system because in the absence of that, it would be near impossible for us to give you such information so much in advance that if you're coming, let's say, from Singapore into Bangalore, we may be able to tell you when you enter the Chennai FAR. But that's not the case here because each airport is running individually and we don't have a centralized system which takes care of all the traffic coming in from all the places, especially the short distance ones. When they are not having the control of the flights which are coming, let's say, half an hour into Bangalore, then that's going to affect the aircraft which is coming three hours away. So we are trying to get into a system where we have this information spread into the system completely, then you would have your requirements met. But we are working towards it. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Well, adding to a point, that is exactly why you are working. The first presentation that you saw, this is what we are talking about, an integrated system for the entire airspace. Then you talk about a predictive model on top of that. So when you have the high fidelity prediction available to you, then an outcome of that is optimization, flow optimization, speed optimization, all that you can do collaboratively. Whatever you see on the ground on the airport, we can probably try to do in a much larger scale over the entire airspace, or at least in an FIR big regions and things like that. That is one of the objectives that we have started for that. So wait for some time.
So, sir, now the second question. We have noticed that even in our pilot community, we see a lot of pilots not respecting the speed adherence which has been given to the pilot that maintains so speed on approach. So we know that a lot of our pilots are not maintaining speed. So my request to all of you, if you see any pilot not adhering to speed control or even in the lean period, please don't relax. Just ask him the reason why you did not maintain the speed. Just don't wait for one fine day when there's a congestion and jump onto him. I will say, even in the lean period, let's respect the speed control. It will build a good culture between both of us, that he knows that even in the lean period, I need to respect this 180 not still so tall. So it will be in tune to them, because I noticed a lot of, even our colleagues, they just manage speed at maybe 10 miles and fly that only once or twice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think that's a very, very valid point that you've made, Captain, because you have to introspect also. I think that's what you've meant. So it's not just that we impose the speed restrictions. The AAP supplement, the AAP itself talks about speed control measures. And it's very magnanimous of the captain to acknowledge that it's a role that they also have to play. And I think he deserves a round of applause for accepting that. Thank you.
Thank you. So all our colleagues, actually, there is a slight gap of communication that happens. And because we are all trying to cope up with the requirement, so we are making so many new captains. You guys are making so many new controllers. There might be something or the other. But if we start making these basic things correct, everything will fall apart.
It's all about following the protocol procedures.
Thank you.
Any other questions from? Let's have something from the ATC side.
And actually, I was working in Delhi, and in Delhi, there was a demand to maintain speed 160 until 4 miles. And it is varies from airlines to airlines, what are the SOP they have maintained. And it was very difficult with Go Air. They will never maintain 160 until 4. Even in Indigo, some people they maintain, some people will not maintain. And it was very difficult to achieve that inter-arrival 4-mile spacing. And to achieve the target set, that capacity, hourly capacity. And yeah. That depends. Even the SOP, even the particular airlines also, it depends, and it varies from pilots to pilots. They don't never maintain. We all the time we mention also maintain 160 until 4 miles, so that we will achieve that required separation. But we observed it in a particular airlines also, in single airlines, it depends on the pilots to pilots. They slow down at 8 miles or 6 miles or 5 miles. Some people will maintain. Some people will maintain 160 until 2 miles also. That is there. And we tried daily, that NATS people came and we counseled and we called people. We went to airlines office and met pilots, but still we could not achieve that. And it is a request, if that whatever the required and AIP publications is there, or the demand by the controller, people should respect that speed restrictions and control.
Thank you. Thank you, Prasanna, sir. Would you like to say something,
Yes.
Sanjay?
Sir, Nalli sir and all respected pilots, we had an interaction in the month of July with all the Tukatesi Pushpa ma'am. We have interaction in Ashoka Hall in July, and all the airline pilots were there, and online Nalli sir was also there. The first question you asked, that nobody is asking us to increase the speed. So it is not like that. Many times you may not be end up into that situation that controller will ask you, because already there is a delay. Other way also it is happening. We have seen quite a lot of time people are asking, the ATCOs are asking you to increase the speed. But to make it uniform, I just want to clarify two things. Bangalore TMA, if you see, it is an extended approach. We have level up to 250, and the traffic coming into Bangalore is from all the direction and from the upper area. Chennai is releasing us. So if you see the map here, this way, this lower LBW, lower Bangalore West and lower Bangalore East, this we have proposed. As of now, this is one only, lower Bangalore. Single controller is handling the traffic coming from UML, UBL West, UBL East, Chennai North, Chennai South, and from the south, HAL. Then this is above 250, below 250 from Mangalore, Hubli, Belgaum, Kolhapur, all smaller stations. Hyderabad, Vijayawada. The single controller is controlling this entire 760 movements in a day. So conflicting points are many. So the scope of telling Chennai every time that giving the exact touchdown time is beyond human capacity as of now.
So we are trying on that, as sir has told, we will be developing, the global plan, we are going to make it. Second thing, in the last meeting, what we have decided is, all the arrivals coming into, land into Bangalore, once they are released from Chennai, they will maintain level 270. Once speed 270 knots, when they will be in contact with Bangalore, thereafter, if it is required to increase or to decrease, Bangalore controller only will advise you. For that, we are going to soon file amend an LOA with Chennai, because Chennai sometimes they will see, okay, congestion is there in Bangalore, they will reduce the speed. So once you are reduce the speed at 60 miles, you will be at level 320. That is not our level, that belongs to Chennai. But we have to put you in sequence. So you are coming closer to Bangalore at higher level and with minimum speed. Again, we will ask you, increase speed in order to expedite it. And though we know it is a delay is there, but unless you are down, we cannot put you in the sequence. So we want you to come down early, then reduce speed. So that's why we have decided all arrivals into Bangalore from upper airspace will maintain speed 270. Once they are in our contact, despite of whatever congestion is there, we will ask them, we'll pass on them the touchdown timing and advise the speed accordingly. I think for the time being, this will sort out the, what your question, this problem. So we have disseminated the minutes of that meeting to all the airlines. You might have got it, or also has got it. And we are implementing it. Thank you.
Once you issue the NOTAM, then we will intimate our pilots also.
Thank you, Sanjay. And I think one more point which Vasudevan, Executive Director ASM, would like to make.
One more clarification that you wanted for the pilots, all the pilots from across the board to follow the instructions. It is very, very difficult to implement. When we started the ACDM program and we in Mumbai, and when we wanted to increase the runway capacity, we had a runway utilization improvement group formed, which mainly catered to ATC, the airport operator, and the airlines. And we had a monthly meeting, and in every meeting, it was analyzed, each airline, each type of aircraft, how long they took on the final approach, how long they took on the runway after landing, and after lining up, how many seconds they took for the roll, and all that. Each of them were analyzed, and then we found out each airline role, each type of aircraft, how they operated, and then there were repeated instructions from the airport operator, and then we started getting the improvement. And in one such test, we found out that the Boeing 737-800s and 900s were not able to follow the speeds that were issued, and some of the speed restrictions were not even achieved by the bigger aircraft. So there are some restrictions. So we need to have regular interaction and then take it forward. So it's not very easy for a line controller to bring everybody online. So that's going to be difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So I think what is coming out positively from all this is that the interaction does pay dividends. So there are quite a few seniors here from many stations, and I urge all of them to have repeated such interactions between pilots and ATCOs at their respective stations. Professor Padi?
Just a small comment, by the way. It's also probably, I mean, you are much more aware of us now, much more kind of experience than us. You can tell us a little bit. This also depends on headwind, tailwind, all that, right? So when you talk about this speed control for say, then we are worried about from flight dynamics point of view, the Mach number point of view. You don't want to get into the transonic regions and all. There may be the flight control or FMS restricting you also from doing that. So that is also another consideration we may think about, because you are talking about wind compensation also. Right? So you have to rather talk about Mach number based control rather than the speed control. That's a flight dynamics point.
So just for information, at a lower level, we all fly indicated airspeed, and wind is same for everyone. So we all fly indicated.
You don't want to get into transonic region, Mach number 1, very close to that. Already you are operating Mach number 0.8, 0.85 like that. So if you want the speed of process.
Yeah, we are only talking about the approach part where we are actually delaying our colleagues even for landing and for takeoff? What
We are
restrictions?
talking about that area control, right? From far distance you want to control.
Professor Sadi, we are talking more about the level flights. You are referring to the level flights where the Mach numbers touch the numbers that you are mentioning. But they are more concerned about the approach phase of the flight, where speeds are typically less than 250 knots.
And this problem is also there in US in a very big way, by the way, I was told. So because the number of aircraft are very, very high, large, nobody wants to be controlled by anybody. So that is why that's another philosophy there. So then NASA is proposing this, a lot of this automation sort of thing. So can that be automated? Unless like pilots can take over only when there is a necessity. Otherwise it is autonomous flying. Can it be done? This is a question that you have to talk about actually.
So I have one more question. If there is anybody from BIAL here who we can OCC, anybody from BIAL OCC? Okay, Pushpa ma'am. Okay, my question ma'am, recently there were few flight delays mentioned due to cockpit crew preparation delay, which came to me. And when I tried to figure it out, how did the operation pilot cockpit preparation came as a delay measure. So I don't know where it came from, the controller side or the BIAL OCC side. It came to me that your pilots are delaying pushback after door close. So when I went and checked the OCC, that tell me, how did you figure it out that my pilot is not doing his work? So there was a delivery frequency where pilot was taking up before they were transferred to ground frequency. And that frequency was not monitored. The operational control center was not monitoring that time. So now, as a pilot, once I am in contact with the delivery frequency and he has asked me to wait there, I am already in contact with ATC. And how did this operational delay came in? As a pilot, how am I concerned if I am waiting at delivery, I am waiting at ground? So please, my request to you and entire team, Pushpa ma'am, we need to monitor this delivery frequency, because what happens, we spend a lot of manpower figuring out what happened. We are on-time airline. So anything that comes up with any remark, we need to investigate, and we actually spend 2 days figuring it out that what made them write this statement. And I went to OCC, they said we don't monitor delivery frequency. And I went to speak to my pilot, he's saying, sir, I was waiting on delivery frequency for 10 minutes. So this is just between both of you, the controllers and the airport operator. Please look into this, that you at least monitor the delivery frequency so that our pilots are not questioned again.
Sir, just a small clarification on that point. This point was raised maybe a year back when we were monitoring all the delays. When we monitor the crew delay, what we do as an airport operator, we see the door close and then we just wait for the aircraft to push back. When we don't see the aircraft pushing back, when doors are closed and all the equipment are removed from the aircraft, we capture it as a crew delay. So when we started investigating why the aircraft is not pushing back, there were some delays where the aircraft has asked for, when we saw actual startup approval time and actual startup request time, we saw the comparison. There were few aircraft where, yes, the request time and the approval time used to vary by 10 minutes, what you said, so on clearance delivery. But there were few aircraft where the actual startup request time and the actual startup approval time was same. But still, after getting pushback approval, doors closed, everything, but the aircraft has not pushed back. So what was happening in the cockpit? So then we started capturing it as crew delay. Maybe the crew was briefing on the catching procedures, maybe the crew was briefing on some procedures. But now we are just capturing as a delay, captain delay procedure. We have termed it as a captain delay procedure, and then we are capturing it. So this is just the explanation for that.
Just to add on, Pushpa ma'am, that the door closed and all our equipment removed, external whatever before pushback, doesn't guarantee that our cockpit crew will push back, because if our scheduled departure is at 6 o'clock and 5:45, this is our internal practice, we try to close door 15 minutes before, but our pilot may ask for a pushback maybe 6 minutes before real time. Maybe he will close door and take maybe 6-7 minutes extra to complete his cockpit procedure. The D-15, what you're talking about, that was just an internal Indigo way of closing door early, so people settle down, and we are much more ready to push back. But the captain point of view, we will ask for pushback. We are expecting close to D-5, D-4, D-7, something in that range only.
So these captain delays are only captured when you delay beyond SOBT?
Yes, yes. If it is that, yes.
Yes. So what we do is we take your SOBT and actual startup approval time. We do a lot of analysis before putting up to LI. So when we look on actual startup request time, approval time, SOBT, and then we see the door close.
Okay.
If the door close is within that limit, and after SOBT, the aircraft has not pushed back. Door closed, you have got the approval for pushback, but still it is beyond SOBT. Then we capture 2 minutes, 1 minute. Generally, it is 1 or 2 minutes, but we still capture that.
Okay. But are we monitoring, are we documenting the delivery time now, or we are still not?
No, sir, we are not monitoring delivery time, but we are checking up when there's a peak traffic. Yes, we are seeing the approval time, which is we are getting from ATC. So that we are monitoring.
Because I think if we start tapping information from the first contact point instead of ground, I think if we tap it there, it will be much more beneficial for us to find out what happened there.
Then we need one more manpower, sir, to monitor.
Please, man, please. We are utilizing maybe more manpower just to figure it out what our pilot did there. Yeah, every day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Pushpa. And I think Captain had another part to his question regarding monitoring the CLD frequency. Would someone from Bangalore Tower or Bangalore ATC would like to answer that? About monitoring the CLD or delays?
So regarding the delivery, as the Bangalore airport apron.
I'm sorry, would you please introduce?
Yeah, you must have seen the apron. It's quite complex. And before I answer,
would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, myself Sandeep. I am a tower controller posted from last 5 years. I am tower rated. So in Bangalore, we have I think we can consider it a complex apron because we give you pushback 2 plus minus something like that. So generally, we change over the aircraft whenever you are ready nowadays. Pre-COVID times, we were holding the aircrafts because either your parking bay will be occupied, there will be some pushback nearby or something like that. But nowadays I am seeing even after 5 to 6 minutes, 7 minutes, aircrafts are not pushing back. And
so my say on this, if you see any aircraft not pushing back for 5, 6 minutes, just cancel pushback. Just tell him and call back when you are fully ready. Don't wait for them. Anna, you have to be a little bit strict on them that if you are not ready, please don't come.
And
just be very, very clear that if you are not ready, please don't waste somebody's slot. You can just ask, if you are not ready, call when you are fully ready, cancel your pushback, just go to the other guy.
Yeah, and one suggestion from my side, sir. Nowadays, we are seeing a lot of marshals not available on the bay. We are trying our best to do the visual surveillance, but still there will be a time we will not be able to do that. So as a tower controller, my suggestion is there, if you are not able to talk when you reach your parking bay, just give a call and advise that. Because
we will circulate this. We will circulate this to our crew member.
Happening more in the night. So
yeah, we will circulate this to our crew member.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this is getting a little too Bangalore centric. Come on, some other stations. Yeah, at the back.
I am Harshavardhan from Chennai. I have a suggestion to all the pilots actually, the full pilot fraternity. So most of the aircraft, immediately after getting airborne, when they come in contact with approach or area, they ask for a direct. It is actually blocking the frequency. We are trying to get that 1 or 2 seconds to give some other instruction to the other aircraft, but in between, the other pilot who gets airborne immediately passing 2,000 or 3,000, he asks for some direct. And he keeps continuously asking for some direct. So this keeps happening. Earlier, only one airline was following this, but now each and every airline is following. So I request all the pilots to refrain from asking for direct.
So, Please don't mind the way he said it's the pain of an active air traffic controller that he's trying to protect. So it's also a suggestion, yes, because our document tells us very clearly that as far as possible, we take it the other way. If it is possible, give the direct routing. There's no second thought about it that, everybody has it ingrained in our blood that, we need to give direct routing. It saves time for us. The quicker you get out of my TMA, the better for me. So that's the idea. So we always try for that, but like my colleague Harsha says, sometimes in peak traffic scenario, it gets a little digressing from the task at hand. That's the only issue. So thank you, Harsha, for that. Yeah, and I think we've got a couple of more items on the agenda. Just a second. So we'll take a couple of more questions starting with you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dheeraj Tiwari from Dibrugarh Airport. My question actually is the blind transmission for ATC Guild and the pilot community, both who are going to take it first. Sir, actually, we work in a close coordination to each other. But I think that most of the confusion is only because of that, how close we are to exposed to the working environment of each other. So in near future, whether ATC Guild and pilot community is going to evolve some system to give the close exposure of the environment of working of each other to the each community. Thank you.
I think that's a good point. So I think what he's referring to is the familiarization flight. So it used to be a practice early on, and I think most of our senior controllers have had the opportunity to visit your cockpit and have a flight. So I think, and I believe Narli ji has been very cooperative in this.
Presently, the CAR has taken the ATCO out of that privilege. So first of all, my request to Guild is, I have already requested them that it should come back to the CAR, and then we can look into it, no problem.
Yes. So yeah, it's a very valid point that you've made there. One last question. Yes, please.
Yeah, good evening. Myself, Amit Prasad from Hyderabad. So I am taking attention from Bangalore to Hyderabad now. So my question is not basically related to Hyderabad, it's generic in nature. So I have two questions. First question is that declaration of minimum fuel. Sometime when we are giving that touchdown time, means always we are giving the touchdown time whenever the traffic, and suppose your number is number 10, then time you are telling, okay, you are in the minimum fuel, then we understood. But sometime whenever you are at number 1 or number 2 also, you are coming direct, we are giving all the routes. That time also we are declaring, so sir, we are having the minimum fuel, just give us approach. So that is my first doubt. Means, I just want to know your perspective, one thing. Second thing is that in busy traffic, whenever we are giving the sequence and we are very busy in the transmission, in handling, we seeing the cover scope, that time some pilots start arguing we are coming from this way, that car is behind that way, and they start fighting on channel. Okay. So these two things, I just want clarification of your view.
I think questions are related to declaration of minimum fuel as per your policy and about aviation discipline in general.
So first of all, the minimum fuel is not to be stated at the destination. What you are saying is, telling you that I am having like 10 minutes of fuel, otherwise I will divert. That is absolutely okay. That is not an emergency. So stating minimum fuel means, if I am not supposed to state minimum fuel at the destination. If I am stating, I will directly state Mayday fuel, because it could be because of my leakage or maybe some internal malfunction or miscalculation. But otherwise, at destination, I am not supposed to say minimum fuel. But what you are saying is, the pilot says that I am having 10 minutes of fuel, otherwise I will divert. So absolutely no problem, let him divert. After 10 minutes, he can divert to the destination alternate. No issue with that. But he is just giving you an information. He is not pressurizing you. He is just giving you an information. You can.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Narli. I think the point to take home here is that as long as they are carrying the fuel as per the regulatory requirement, then they are safe, right? So that we can't question them on that. And like Mr. Nali says, if beyond the time that they can hold, they are forced to divert, then let them divert. So they are very open with that.
So, are you clear what Narli sir wanted to clarify about minimum fuel? Okay, so minimum fuel is a pilot. When he says minimum fuel, that he means he wants to pass on this information to the controller that he has 10 minutes before he decides, correct?
So the minimum fuel basically is if any further change in the instructions given to the pilot happens, he might get into a mayday fuel situation that is alternate. So a minimum fuel will never be declared at the destination.
One, two, three. Okay. Just I am giving you an example. You are coming from, say, Hyderabad to Bangalore. Bangalore is your destination, and say Coimbatore is my alternate. Just an example. I am coming in. 10 minutes before diversion. I will tell you 10 minutes to diversion. This is just to indicate that suppose Coimbatore is not available because of some reason. Maybe वहाँ पे कुछ हो गया. It is not available. Then you must say, inform the pilot that this airport is not available. You plan your diversion somewhere else. Otherwise, if you can accommodate. Absolutely okay. After 10 minutes, I will be calling for diversion. Once I ask for diversion, you will give me a routing cleared for so and so, route so and so, level 180, flight level 180. Example. मैंने अपने MCDO में डाला वो, डाल के देखा, okay, I need 2 tons of fuel to go there and land, and I need 30 minutes of holding fuel, which is approximately 1200 kg. So 3200 kg I must have. ठीक है? So I see, okay, ठीक है. I will burn 200 in landing, and when I land, I will have 1200 kg. Absolutely okay. This is a bare minimum fuel. So I tell you minimum fuel. This means that I am telling you, hereafter, boss, do not touch me. Means do not give me a lower level, do not give me a deviation, do not give me a holding. Otherwise, I am going to declare mayday. This is what is minimum and mayday. So at destination, I will never declare minimum. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Nali. And with that, we come to the conclusion of this pilot ATC interaction. I'm sure that if we had the whole day from 9:30 to 6, still the questions wouldn't be over. But alas, we have only this much time. And I think, I'm sorry, Samantha. 10 seconds, if you permit. No, we are eating into the time of the next speaker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I am Chairman from Calcutta. No, sir, actually, as the discussion was progressing, it was a very fruitful discussion. Actually, I could see the pain of the pilot that while coming to Bangalore, actually, why the delay was there. So only, actually, I took the mic only because I wanted to request him to please come to Calcutta. We'll not delay you. We'll make you land before you reach here. That's it. Thank you.
Shamendra, your wit is world renowned. But if I want to go to Bangalore, but you take me to Calcutta, I'll not be happy. Aircraft में passenger भी होते हैं यार, सिर्फ aircraft नहीं होते. Anyways, that was a very good change of scene for us, spark of humor from Shamendra. And I thank you all for this interactive session, and I hope it was quite fruitful. As I mentioned earlier, I request all the senior controllers here who have come from various stations to take up this initiative, to have an interactive sessions between, I think Mr. Narli and the other members from the airline community are always eager to come to ATC. They have always said that we are very eager to come to ATC. They have never said no. It's only a case of, us reaching out to them and calling them and inviting them. So they are part of the same fraternity. Let's have more of these interactions at different stations. So thank you all for this patient hearing, and I would like to apologize to the next speaker from Mrs. Honeywell for eating into their time, and I hope that this activity right now was completed in a safe, orderly, and slightly less expeditious manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir sir. Thank you all. So I want attention from all of you for just 2 minutes. The screen you are seeing here is NextGen Air Traffic Management. The poster you are seeing is made by one of our colleagues, Shreyasi Das. She is in afternoon duty today. This is a painting by Shreyasi. This is the cover of our invitation. And she has displayed 3 of her paintings you can see while having tea after this session. And next, one more thing I want to display here, that is an honor for ATC Guild India. We have invited Mr. Ratan Tata as our chief guest, but due to he is not well, so he could not come. So he has conveyed his wishes. I am going to read here. To the members of the ATC Guild India, while due to medical reasons, I will not be able to attend your seminar this month. Let me take this opportunity to express my appreciation to all civilian air traffic controllers for their contribution to the improvement of air traffic services in India. I wish you all the very best for your upcoming seminar on the optimum utilization of the airspace industry. With warm regards, yours sincerely, Ratan and Tata. So we are grateful to him. We will definitely convey that to him our thanks from ATC Guild India. Next speakers is Ms. Honeywell. They are waiting in the queue. So over to them now. Thank you. Duplicate. Okay.
Yes. Good afternoon. We are a team of Honeywell engineers. We would actually take you through our NextGen software called Samita's Integrated Tower Working Position for the next 30 minutes or so. Let me first introduce my team. Myself, Franklin Joseph, Director of Engineering. I lead the R&D team at Honeywell, Honeywell Airports Business. My colleague, Dinesh, he's the brain behind all the software that we deliver from Honeywell. So he's the lead architect, working in this industry for more than 20 years. And the known face for many of you, Mr. Sumant, he was ex-ATC at Chennai Airport. He's actually with Honeywell. He's leading the tower portfolio as a product manager. So before I begin, let me first thank Mr. Sanjay and the organizing committee for giving us an opportunity to actually kind of present our NextGen software. This, we believe, would inspire you in many ways. So we talked about many themes, right, starting with Make in India, sustainability, avoiding delays. I think every other touch point that we talked about, we should be able to actually relate and resonate. So with that introduction, let's begin the session. So this is the learning objective. So we put together this presentation with this particular learning objective. We are going to present our software. This is ASM GCS Level 4 software targeted for air traffic controllers, primarily the tower controllers. And this is going to actually help you to improve your capacity, right? So this is deployed in airports like Incheon, which is actually known as hub of eastern part of the world, right? So they are kind of moving towards 100 million passenger movements. That's the kind of a target they have, and this software is effectively being used there. And safety, of course, efficiency and sustainability. So that's another key theme that we want to talk about. So, we heard from pilots saying that different ways of saving fuels, right? And we believe that this software would actually pave way towards that objective as well. So first, I will play a small video. Unfortunately, the audio is not working, but still, I will play the video. Because many of you may not know, Honeywell has the R&D center here, and we are into the airport business. We have solutions starting with airfield ground lighting, all the way to the tower and gate and turnaround management. So the visual guidance and docking system is also kind of manufactured by Honeywell. We also have our own manufacturing facility in India. So starting with R&D to the sales, commercials and manufacturing, everything is in India. So many of you may not know that. So we actively sell our products overseas, but we definitely want to grow in India as well. So with that in mind, we'll start off with this small video. And beyond that, we'll immediately jump into the software. So you'll get to see the first view of our NextGen software. I'm sure that will inspire you. Then I'll hand over to Dinesh. He will actually talk about the capabilities of the software. So it has the different user personas, different use cases. So he will take you through that. And we'll finish the presentation with a case study from Incheon Airport. So as I said, this is already live, deployed. What we see out of Incheon Airport, the lessons learned from there are definitely something that we can relate. So we will go in this sequence. Let me start with the video. Since there's no audio, I will probably voice over.
Even as the world is facing historical challenges, safety and compliance will come first in the aviation industry. With these priorities in mind, airport operators look for technologies that improve uptime and help optimize infrastructure and airside throughput performance. It may seem like a daunting task, but with the right set of ground lighting solutions, the job gets easier. Introducing the Honeywell Airfield Ground Lighting Solutions portfolio. Leverage cutting-edge technologies that improve uptime and visibility in all weather conditions, helping aircraft land safely and find their way to the stand. Choose from our extensive range of ASM GCS scalable solutions, including our follow-the-bricks technology that helps improve safety, efficiency, and throughput. Honeywell Light, more savings, more uptime. The new Honeywell range of low wattage consumption LED-based lighting products helps airports improve their OPEX and the longevity of their assets, while also lowering energy consumption by 15%. Honeywell Navitas Lights Manager. The Honeywell Navitas Lights Manager enables effective control, management, and monitoring of all relevant airfield ground lighting objects in accordance with ICAO Annex 14 and FAA requirements. Honeywell Power and Control Solutions. Single lamp control monitoring system. detect faults as soon as they appear with Honeywell addressable switching devices that feature real-time, reliable control and monitoring of the on-off status of each individual lamp. Honeywell's constant current regulator. The Honeywell CCR30 is used to supply, control, and monitor constant current series circuits of air-sealed ground lighting systems. Honeywell taxiway guidance signage. Taxiway information signs are crucial to docking and maneuvering aircraft safely. The mandatory runway sign determines areas that are off limits to pilots unless authorized by air traffic control. Airside maintenance. Honeywell Airside Services empower airports to carry out maintenance activities with speed and precision. And with OT cybersecurity and dedicated maintenance, operators can identify potential hazards ahead of time and address light failures quickly. Made in India. A significant part of our airfield ground lighting solutions are made in India. In fact, Honeywell is the first Fortune 500 company that decided to invest in local airfield light manufacturing with a research and development center in Bangalore and one factory in Gurgaon. Our software engineers in Bangalore also developed the Honeywell Navita Suite, our comprehensive solution for planning, analyzing, and monitoring air and ground traffic. All our solutions comply with international quality standards and procedures and are supplied to world-class airports such as Dubai and India. So there you have it, the extensive portfolio of Honeywell solutions that helps airports balance safety, compliance, and performance, all at the same time. Discover what your airport can achieve when you have Honeywell Airfield ground lighting solutions working for you.
Yep. So hope you got the idea now. In fact, our R&D center is right in the middle of Outer Ring Road, actually, near Bellandu. So, in fact, you're welcome to visit us as well as you see more needs coming for your airport. We will be happy to actually interact with you and find the optimal solution for your needs. As you could have noticed, Honeywell is a company that has expertise right from avionics, what goes inside the cockpit, right? Various safety equipment, sensors, displays, and of course the ATM solutions, AGL, aircraft, airfield ground lighting solutions, as well as what goes into the terminal of the airport, right? So we have systems that are meant for heat and ventilation, air conditioning within the terminal building. We have systems that actually does the fire safety, and we also have systems that actually are capable of doing the security surveillance. So this is the only company in the whole world that has from the aircraft to the ATM to the terminal that has solutions. So something that we want to be very proud of, actually. Okay, so that said, we'll get into the particular topic that we want to discuss today. So we all know that we have various systems in a given airport, right? And starting with airport operational systems, air traffic control systems, ground handling systems. Oftentimes you see different vendors coming to play and different kind of software, different kind of hardware. They become heterogeneous and they don't talk to each other. And if you have to manage, if you want to actually make decisions, if you want to improve your efficiency, you would end up working with certain different vendors, right? In the growing industry, that becomes a big headache, right? So that's a problem statement. What it means is that we end up having capacity issues, delays. You won't be able to, even if let's say that you want to actually move forward with the air traffic management system, if the underlying AGL system is not cooperating well, follow the green is no longer a possibility, right? So if let's say you want to achieve ASM/GCS level 4 capabilities, definitely you want your AGL system also to cooperate with your ASM/GCS system, right? So that the follow the green is a possibility. So how do you kind of handle that? So So this is even within the control room, this is the current scenario. So you all know that, right? So we have systems from different vendors doing the weather management for EFPS handling, electronic flight management, and so on. All heterogeneous independent systems. Now, imagine if you have a suite of software where you actually have all these visions incorporated into the architecture. Even for that matter, the cybersecurity in today's world, if you want to actually upgrade your software to the latest and greatest technology to become more cyber compliant, if there is a new standard that you want to comply to, be it FAA or ICAO, if you have a clean suite of software that actually kind of help you to manage the entire airport end to end, so that would be the dream come true. So that's what we are aiming for, and we are working towards that actually, right? So our Navitas software is actually kind of designed with that in mind. Okay, so we keep human as the center of everything. So human-centric design, we call it. So all the systems that you actually use day in, day out are centered around the human, right? So human interface, how the human would interact, how the air traffic controller will interact actually, right? How the decisions are made, how the data flow happens from one system to other. So that is the kind of an architecture that we actually inculcated. So what you are seeing right now is the first view of the Navitas platform. So you can please closely watch this. Imagine if your tower is kind of equipped with this kind of a software, right? So this is live in one of the airports, like I said. So you see the situational awareness is going to be tremendous, right? So you know what's happening in your airfield. And the AI and ML algorithms are actually working at the background. It kind of guides the air traffic controller to choose the right path from the stand to the runway and vice versa, right? Depending on various parameters. Maybe it could be the size of the aircraft that cannot take certain taxiways, certain turns. It could be the traffic situation. It could be the maintenance scenario in the particular area. Whatever may be the scenario, so the algorithm would actually guide the air traffic controller. The head time would actually be reduced. And then you could assist the pilot accordingly. See, what you see is the weather system embedded in the same software. You don't need to actually open another software to kind of see the weather situation. If you want to change the runway direction or you want to increase the category of the runway, whatever it may be, everything is embedded in the single pane of glass, right? So, yeah, you could even control the intensity of the light, right? Yeah, you can manage the conflicts if the traffic is piling up and there are intersections to be managed. The system will guide you. The system will guide you what to do, right? Because we have developed AML-based algorithms that are already patented. So finally, we would be able to achieve this GCS level 4. So we understand that there's a desire to move towards GCS level 4 within Indian Air Navigation Services. So definitely a system like this actually should help you to kind of pursue that journey. So that was the intent of this presentation. Yeah, now you see that at the bottom of the screen, the electronic flight scripts that you typically manage day in, day out. So you have the situational awareness. So normally, you have the controller working position as a separate unit, and then you have a ESPS system separately, and you start interacting with the pilot and then kind of move the needle, right? Like give clearances for taxiing, lineup, takeoff, and so on. So you imagine that if everything becomes a single pane of glass, so that is the future, right? So that's what it is. Now I'll hand over to Dinesh, who would actually be taking you through the details of the software and what it essentially means for Indian Air Navigation Services in the areas of sustainability as well as increasing the capacity, which are kind of predominantly the need of the hour, right? So with that, let me hand over to Dinesh.
So, till now, whatever we saw on the screen, the videos and all those things, I feel it's a magic because from the visits I have made to tower, I have seen tower, the controllers are actually using multi HMI screens. They use 10 screens and then they are managing the traffic. The complexity is high, the mental load is high and all that. So what we are trying to do from Honeywell is this Navitas tower software suite. It is a combination of multiple softwares, as you see here. The tower manager, which is on the top, which is on the red, is the primary HMI what you saw, the Navitas integrated controller working position. It's going to give you integration of 5 to 10 heterogeneous systems like the flight plan, the AGL, the weather system, the flight cards, and all the traffic scenario and everything all together. Right, it's all available in one single 32-inch touchscreen. So you can throw away your keyboards and mouses, and then you can, like your iPad operation, you can just use your HMI out there. Underlying the tower manager is what we have the gray portion, which is surface manager, which actually handles all the surveillance monitoring, the routing prediction and proposal engine, and also the conflict detection and resolution engine and things like that. So that becomes the brain of this entire Navitas software suite. That is supported by this bottom layer, which is the surveillance manager, which gives the feed of all the different aircraft positions. And then we have the integration manager, which gives us information from various heterogeneous systems like the flight plan, the AODB, the ATFM systems, be it whatever the systems where you can get information about all the different flights reaches to the airport. Integration manager can bring everything into one common source where the system can then take and do the necessary services. And lights manager is the portion which achieves our the trademark thing called the follow the green, which helps us control the lights in a particular segment, as you saw, that it will just switch on the taxiway center lines in front of the aircraft as and when the guidance is needed. So helping these two is the arrival manager and departure manager are to the turnaround manager. So these two are sort of external systems for us where we interact with, but it is something which is also being built upon by Honeywell, which actually does the job of managing the arrival and departure traffic and also doing the turnaround process inside and outside the airport. Engineering manager is on the support side, which is going to help the airfield team maintain the lights, maintain the airfield infrastructure and all that. So the engineering manager is going to give them the capability to handle various different assets and their maintenance and service schedules. Performance manager is more of an post-process analysis, which is going to give an sort of a dashboard with all the different KPIs the system can detect and predict and say whether there was a punctuality in the airline or whether there's a slot properly adhered, the stands are properly utilized, all the different types of KPIs can be monitored and presented. Right, so, sorry. Yeah, so the help of this the GTM system, what we call it as, which is nothing but our Navitas ground traffic management system. With the help of this follow the green, we can do a lot of sustainability factors as we talked about. There's more than 30% lights are actually used for the visual guidance, so that the power consumption is quite less. And then we also reduce the fuel burn because there's no stop and go traffic. The traffic is moving at a very constant speed of 20 to 25 knots, which by study has shown that it reduces the fuel burn. If it is less than that or more than that, there is always a stop and go situation, so the fuel burn is high. So the follow the green system helps manage that fuel burn, and also because the aircrafts are only moving as and when needed and not queuing up and all that way and running all the engines and things like that. There's also emission reduction and all that. Along with that, that's more of a side effect, but the primary purpose of the Navitas software suite is more to do with enhancing the safety and efficiency of the airport, right? So you can make sure your airlines or the aircrafts are following the schedule as per the given flight plan. We can also do a real-time calculation of the carbon emission and then see how we can optimize that. And also we introduce something called a trajectory-based routing, which helps manage the traffic, not just by using a static route from a given stand to a runway area. It can also define
routes dynamically as per the current traffic conditions, the closure, taxiway closures, or a different type of hindrances in the traffic flow movement. So the ground traffic movement management system helps us manage all this. Now let's get into each module by module. So this is the Tower Manager, as I said, the primary or the top portion of the software suite, which is a single pane of glass for the ATC to look through various type of information, which is like the situational awareness, the weather information, the AGL information, and it also brings in the flight strips such a way that all the workflow can be managed in one single screen. So you don't need a separate flight strip handling and clearance and handover type of activities on a separate desk. It can be all handled through the single pane of glass. It increases the situational awareness because you get to know the traffic, their movement, their where they're going to stop, what is their arrival departure time, and all that, all available in one single thing. So it can quickly give you in a glance all the different information. And the system is also defined with an interaction such that the interaction is very intuitive. If you see an aircraft which is ready for pushback, you touch on the aircraft, you will get options related to pushback, as you have seen in the video. It will give you an option to say, okay, you want to do a pushback facing east or west, and what kind of pushback you want to do, a short push or long push, and all that. So all that kind of context-sensitive interactions are made available to each aircraft, so the controller need not get into a different mental load to see what we have to do with that specific aircraft. And because of the traffic is monitored by the algorithm, we also have the conflict detection and resolution option. So in advance, if an aircraft, two different aircraft has been given and give way to relationship, at a specific intersection, the system will automatically switch on the stop bar for one aircraft, so the aircraft will give way to the other aircraft. So all that portion is also built into the system. Mainly because of the follow the green feature, the radio communication is reduced. Now 70% of the communication is reduced. The controller just says follow the green, and the green light in front of the aircraft will allow them to manage the traffic without giving all the further instructions, and then the pilot rereading all the instructions, following and all that, right? All that is reduced. So mainly if you look at the HMI is not just defined in sometimes something in a lab where we are just working with an imagination. We go and talk to the controllers, talk to the end user, and then get to know what are their pain points in actually using the main HMI. And we defined elements into the system such a way that it reduces their workload and increases the safety and efficiency. And this is done in an iterative process where we first do the VOC, what we call the voice of customer, get the inputs, and then go show to them as a sort of wireframe, which is even before the software is implemented, get their feedback on how this wireframe will work in their environment, and then we come back with their feedback, fine-tune the wireframes, and then implement it, right? So that is how this whole software is being designed and developed. That's what we call it as a human-centered design using UI, UX engineers. And then we also have a patented graphics engine, which does help us load this aircraft layout, as well as airport layout, with various types of information. The same engine is running the what we call the engineering manager also, which shows 40,000, 50,000 assets on the screen at the same time. We have a patent pending algorithm to progressively show and hide elements on the display. So all that can be achieved using this Tower Manager. And the same thing is extended to what we call it as a centralized remote control monitoring system, which is primarily for the CNS ATM team to manage all the various assets on the airfield, like the ILS equipment or the VHF equipment or the record and replay systems, the ATAs, ACARs, and all the systems. We can monitor the health of those systems from one single place. So this becomes one single centralized location monitoring system, which can monitor all this equipment and given necessary alerts and warnings to tell the engineers to see if there's any need to do any servicing and maintenance. So the same thing can be extended for doing the rest of the asset monitoring also, be it an AGL monitoring or be it an CNS ATM equipment or whatever equipment we have on the airfield, we can monitor them and do the servicing and maintenance activity. This is the most of the important feed for the Navitas system. We call the surveillance manager.
This is an multi-sensor data fusion engine. So right now on the ground, there are a lot of noise about the noise of the data, right? The aircraft positions are not properly reported on the ASMIC system, something like that. So the surveillance manager is going to help us handle the situation. It can take input from various different sensors which gives the aircraft positions, be it an MLAT or ADSB or surveillance radar or the video feeds also sometimes give us the aircraft position. So we can take the information from all these different sensors because some of their sensors have some noise in certain regions or some of them have a shadow in certain regions. So we can take information from all these different sensors and then kind of do a data fusion and then give one single source of truth which can be used by the various services inside the service manager. So this is all done using latest and greatest ML and AI technologies, which uses different algorithms to detect false tracks, to do identify and merge the split tracks, and then there are also in pushback regions some places where you can see some noises. Like for example, if you can look at this bottom portion here. So the bottom portion here, the radar reported position is like this. So this is so much of noise and variation in the current position. So what the ASM or the surveillance manager does is takes the information from multiple sensors and then exactly maps it to the central line so that we can actually do the monitoring of the aircraft position, and then we can also identify their exact position. As you can see here, the aircraft is actually supposed to move on this yellow line, but the position reported by various other surface radars or the different sensors gives position in various random, it's not a random fashion, with some noise and some error in their position reporting. So the algorithm can take all the data and then apply the Kalman filter, what we call it as an algorithm, which fine-tunes their position and then fits it to the exact position, exact path it's supposed to move. Right? So that is the capability of this data fusion engine, which becomes the most critical part for all our surface manager data processing and these services. Yeah, this is I think we talked about. The surface manager actually is the brain behind all the different services what I talked about. So it is the one which manages the ground traffic. It shows the various aircraft position on the HMI. It can also do all the RMCA, CMAC, and CATIC type of alerts. And then it can do monitoring of the restricted or closed areas. And it can also automatically generate the optimum taxi route. So given an aircraft position, from here to the runway entry point, the system can propose a route which is not only the shortest or the efficient route, but also it matters with the standard operating procedures of the specific airport. So we take in the feed of those information, and then we know from the flight plan that this aircraft is of type, let's say A340, and then it is going to the runway 12 left. So all this is automatically done by the system. The user need not input anything. The various information comes from different flight plan information sources like AODB and FDPS system. Then the algorithm knows the airport layout, and it also knows the current position of the aircraft, and then system will automatically propose a route based on all the different inputs what we talked about. So the routing service is one of the key portion of the surveillance manager. And because the aircraft route is being proposed by the system can also do two things. One is that it can check the adherence of the traffic movement. So it can see if the aircraft is following the assigned route. It can also use that to switch on, switch off the taxiway central line lights to give and guidance as we saw the follow the green. And tomorrow, if there's a D-taxi coming in, the same route information can be fed into the D-taxi system. Then the D-taxi system can automatically drive the aircraft from the current position to the runway without pilot or any manual intervention in there. So all that capabilities we are bringing in into the system. So currently, if you look at it, the system is the surface manager is running in two different major airports. One is the Indian airport, and the other one is Dubai. The layout you are seeing here is Dubai airport. With this, we are achieving parallel routing of 75 aircraft at the same time. So that's something which is pretty much needed for those bigger airports with lot of traffic. Yeah, it has the latency is brought down by different processing algorithms and the data communication technology. it has a built-in redundancy, so there is no failure of the system at any point of time. And because it's a distributed system, there is no one system which is affecting the entire operation process. It can run the airport with other systems in place. Also to the level where we have gone in some airports like Changi is one of the places where our AGL control system is maintained. There we have split the airport into 4 zones, and each zone is controlled by one subsystem, what we call it. And then on the HMI, on the tower, the controller does not see the difference. He will see just one single unified system. But internally, there are five different zones. So even if runway zone is not working, you can still use the other runway zone or the other taxiway zone, something like that. So all that kind of different capabilities are available in this system. Yeah. So from the aircraft being landed and come to the gate, now we can look at this offer, the turnaround manager, which is going to help the controllers manage their planning of any startup or any departure from the current given area. So it can do the monitoring of the visual docking guidance system and give the inputs to the specific apron controller, and they can also be fed into the cockpit display, which can show. Somebody was asking about the pilots don't see the TOBT or CTOT time, so we can also do that information being stored on the VDGs, the docking guidance system, before the aircraft starts. The information from the turnaround system can also be fed to the cockpit, to the air traffic controller to show that what is the readiness level or the readiness state of the specific aircraft. Everything which relates to whatever the problem we were talking a few minutes ago. It can talk to all the different AGL, air side and the ground side systems to get the information about the passenger boarding status or the luggage loading status or the food truck loading and all different types of things. All these are heterogeneous systems. We can combine them and bring them into one specific HMI for everybody to monitor and then take the necessary control actions. I'm just running through that because the other slide is already what we talked about. This is what we called as the data-driven airside operational dashboard. It is primarily taking information from all the different real-time sources, and it adds the present situational data into it, adds some predictive and casual forecasting, and then it gives you different information about the various data you need for your operations. So VDGS is going to give us the ground in-block and off-block time, and then different ASMIC services will give you the variable taxi time and the flight delays and the line-up queue time and things like that. And then the ACDM will give you all the different target times and the calculated times which each other do. And all these things can be combined into one single system, we call it, and then it can help us do a lot of decision making capability into the Navitas platform. This is what we talked about the performance manager, which is primarily an post-processing data type of an dashboard. So you can see here that this specific things we talked about, all the arrival departure delays in a specific time, and then this is talking about the punctuality of airline up, and then this is giving you the data about the I think this is about the movement planned and the actual movement. This is about the slot adherence, and then this is about the stand utilization, things like that. So various different parameters can be monitored, which can be used by the airport's operational teams to understand how their resources are properly utilized or not, where are the bottlenecks in the system, and how do we avoid it. All the different type of what-if analysis can be done to improve the airport's safety and efficiency. Yeah, so this is a futuristic view of what we call it as a data analytics platform to give the different airport KPIs in one single screen. If you can look at all the different KPIs, what is needed for running a smoother airport, it's all available on one place, and then we can also get a situational awareness. So this is primarily targeting the AOCC to see how the current airport is performing. And for each aircraft, you can interact with, and then you get various different information about the aircraft and things like that. So this is the one which is in our roadmap to see how we can combine all the different information available in various heterogeneous system and then bring it to one single platform for easier assessment and analysis. Yeah. So the integration manager is the primary piece of software which helps us do all the different services what we talked about. If you look at the Navitas can talk to all these different sources, let be there be an here. If you look at it can be an A-man, B-man system, it could be an EFPS system, it could be an surveillance manager, it can be a different types of FTPS systems. All the different systems what we have in the website with different protocols and different type of data it has, we can combine them and bring it into one common structure where it can be accessed by all the different services inside the Honeywell Navitas platform, and it can also expose and swim type of an interface so that all the other systems which needs this combined data can also be consumed and used. Right? So that's how the integration manager platform is built. So if you look at and value to airport, what the Navitas server management is giving. So different software has a different purpose. So if you look at Tower Manager, it gives us the enhanced institutional awareness and reduced workload for an ATC. Engineering Manager is making sure that we have a high system availability and predictable maintenance functionality. Performance Manager gives you capability to have your monitoring improved and effective collaboration between all the different airport handlers. And then Arrival Departure Manager will help us do the improve traffic flow and increase the runway capacity. Surface Manager is helping us to improve the traffic fluency, reduce the workload, and increases the safety, which is the primary purpose of it. Surveillance Manager is for doing the situational awareness enhancement and then improving the reduce safety and reducing the traffic delays. Turnaround Manager is for handling an effective gate utilization, reduce the turnaround times, and improve the on-time departure. So all the different needs of an airport being operated is all being addressed by the Navitas software suite. So now we will jump into the Seoul airport case study, how the photography system and the Navitas software suite is helping the Seoul airport to achieve what they wanted to achieve. So if you look at it, the challenges with the Indian airport was that the airport was fast growing. There were a lot of traffic which is coming up. So we supplied a solution which is completely owned by Honeywell, from the tower software to the hardware to the APL lighting and all that. So it is all done using the Navitas software suite. We implemented an ASMPS level 1 to 4.5 support. So we'll talk about what the 4.5 is about. And we have a fully operational follow the green system. They are running it from April 2020. The impact is 70% of the energy is being saved, and a lot of CO2 and cost is being saved by this. So if you look at this talks about various different references of system being used. I will try to jump to the main integrated architecture, where this is the Navitas Integration Manager platform, and on top of it is where we have the ICWP, which is the Tower Manager, and the Surface Manager here. And we have data being integrated from various different external systems like AWOS from the Vaisala and the video recording system, and then the VDGS system from SafeGate and the Honeywell's own VDGS system. Also, we talk to AODB or FIS at the site, and then the surveillance software and the lighting control software is all from Honeywell. So all this together forms that follow the green system which is being deployed in Incheon. We have a quick video which talks about what are the features and the capabilities of the system and how the users like it.
International Airport, top airport in the world, used by over 1,000 passenger planes and tens of thousands of travelers a day. From April 10, 2020, Seoul Regional Office of Aviation Engine Control Tower began the Follow the Green system, which is a ground-like guidance control system that provides 24-hour visual travel paths to each aircraft. Ground-like guidance control is a system that uses the high-tech light system to provide the travel path the route from the runway exit to the gate or from the gate to the relevant runway is guided through the green light. This control method provides intuitive travel path information directly on the taxiway for convenient and safe operation of the aircraft. As a result of test operation by Seoul Regional Office of Aviation Engine Control Tower, average monthly misentry number of 8.8 cases was reduced over 70% after introducing the system to be expected to contribute greatly on improving the ground safety and airport congestion. Also, pilots can understand the travel path conveniently and are looking forward to introducing this new control method of guidance on complicated taxiways. In the last 2 years, Incheon International Airport improved the light control system to enhance the ASMGCS level to the top international level of 4.5, and the control function and information on the aircraft departure and landing can be seen through one screen to safely perform the role as the Northeast Asia hub airport. Incheon International Airport is planning to continue the improvement on the system to provide safe travel to all customers using the airport.
So as you saw that the runway entry misses from H to 1 is what is the biggest achievement of this Follow the Green system. We will now see the HMI. This is the actual HMI from the Incheon airport. You can see the various elements of how the ASMGC system is used by the controller. I'll just, So if you look at the system gives the situational awareness in a much more cleaner way. If you see that these two magenta runways are occupied right now, and then various aircraft which is moving, but not all the central lines are switched on. Only the relevant central lines which is for a specific aircraft is switched on. You can see for the arrival aircraft, only the specific runway exits are switched on, not all of them. Like for example, the aircraft is going to go vacate the Delta 6 and then enter into the Delta taxiway. So only the Delta side of the runway exits are switched on, not on the Charlie side taxiways are switched on. Same time, if you look at it, the runway entry stop bars are switched on to protect the runway, so no aircraft can enter into the runway while this aircraft is arriving or departing. So all these different kind of safety mechanisms are built into the system. So the controller need not go and do this manually. It's all taken care by the system's automatic algorithm. And also you can see various useful information about a specific the current airport being used. So in this case, the 1.5 left runway is used only for arrival. The 1.5 right is only used for departure, and then 1.6 is used for both. 1.6 is only used for arrival again. And then each of the runway is currently operating in a normal visibility condition. And you can also see, depending on the arrival departure mode, the specific lights are switched on. So in this case, the runway end light is switched on, the runway international lights are switched on, and the touchdown zone lights are switched on, and all that. So depending on the mode, the system also internally automatically switches on the ATM lights as and when needed. So this is a simulated traffic. As you can see here, there are various aircraft which are being either departing from the stand area or they are arriving at into the runway. So this is what we called it as the 4.5. So level 4 is what the navigation or guidance which is done using the airfield ground lighting. And this is a mobile application. It is running on a mobile Android device where a vehicle driver or somebody who is on the field, they can also look at the the current traffic situation. He can see which aircraft is taking which route. So, for example, whenever the system proposes a route for a specific aircraft, the vehicle driver also will see that, okay, this aircraft is now from this going and it's going to go to this runway and things like that. So all these different type of information which is synthesized by the Navitas system is exported to this device, and then the device can also get to see the different information. This improves the vehicle's operation and safety also in the airport. Yeah, and this is the future of what we are looking at as a level 5 for ASMGCS, where the information that from the ATC HMI or the ATC algorithms or the surface manager is getting uploaded into the uplinked into the cockpit. So for the cockpit, the pilot to see the different information about the routes being assigned. He can also get a moving map of the aircraft with the 3D rendering, so he can actually take routing on from his mobile device, like how we are using our navigational equipment and things like that. All this is possible using what we call AeroMax, which is an airport-wide Wi-Fi or a WiMAX signal, which can be connected to all the different equipment and can provide them wireless connectivity between those devices. I think with that, I close my session.
Just one closing comment here. So, primarily we are more of an AGL provider in India. So we actually have given the AGL solution to Delhi Airport, Kolkata, Cochin, couple more, and Jaipur. But yes, definitely the intent is to actually get into the GTM and ATM side of things as well. And now is the right time, because as there is a desire to get into the ASMGCS level 4 from AI point of view, I think definitely we want to collaborate and work together. Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to invite Shivu, sir. Please hand over the memento to the speaker. After this, we have the tea break, and after that, we are left a couple of 2 sessions, small sessions, and then we'll call it a closing ceremony. So,
So going further, someone said it very well. फुर्सत ही महंगी है, वरना सुकून तो इतना सस्ता है कि चाय की प्याली में मिल जाता है. So I would request everybody to have tea, and we'll commence here after 15 minutes. Thank you.